In this second video, using the comics creator Pixton to develop classroom resources to practice language related to the Cambridge tests, we're going to have a look at how to use Pixton to make a multiple choice cloze, which looks a little bit like this. You get a text with words missing and there are 4 options A, B, C, D. However, in the Cambridge exam, there are only 8 missing words and 8 questions with 4 options each. And I've taken the text I'm going to use from the Cambridge English First Handbook for Teachers. And the text we're going to use is about the discovery of an ancient shoe by archaeologists. So go to the Pixton site again and log in using the school's and this time, once again, click on the menu, the 3 lines at the top, and in the comics box, click Add to create a new comic. This time, we're going to create a comic from a blank layout because the nature of the multiple choice cloze means that we have text that also includes 4 options, A, B, C, D, for the answers for those texts. So we're going to use a storyboard this time. And the advantage here is that it gives us a little bit more space to include text at the bottom. You could use this for the open cloze as well and play around with it and have a little bit of fun. So my text about the archaeologist and the shoe, I've had a look and I've identified 3 different images I might want to include. So the first part of the text I'm going to copy and paste down here into this box at the bottom. Now you can see that it doesn't show all of the text immediately, but don't worry about that because when you finally publish the thing, you'll be able to see all of that text available. This part is about the archaeologist in a cave in Southeast Asia or Southwest Asia. So I'm going to, in the background section, in the keywords, type in cave and select one I like. I'm going to choose this one right here. Then I'm going to add my character. This time I want some kind of archaeologist, so I think that might be a bit too specific for the preset characters. So if I go a little bit general and enter science, we'll see what we get. And I'm going to choose this guy over here who looks like Albert Einstein. He could be an archaeologist. He's in a cave. I'm going to make him a little bit smaller. And then I want him to be doing some kind of cave-related activity. So in the preset poses down here, I'm going to put kneeling. We don't have too many options for this, and this is slightly strange, but I'm going to edit his position so he's just found the shoe. So I can move his arms if I'm still in the pose section after double clicking like that again, and he's going to hold up the shoe like that. One thing I can do here to make him look at his new discovery is click on the zoom in button, which will give me a close-up of his head and gives me more control over it. So I can then click and move like that, and I can click and move his face and rotate it so that he's looking at the shoe. And then I'm going to move out a little bit here, and then I'm going to add the shoe from the prop menu. Just type in shoe in the keywords again. I'm going to add something that looks like this. It's a footprint. Can definitely pass as a shoe. Once again, the law of closure means we don't need to be too accurate. Now that's a very similar color to the background, the back of the wall there. So if I click this edit color palette and then number 1 down here, I'll just change it to a lighter shade of something. And also my text mentions a little bit later that the shoe was stuffed with grass. So I'm going to add another prop and type in grass in the keyword menu here and select one of these, and then again just change it, change the size, rotate it, and move it around so it looks a little bit like the shoe was stuffed with grass. Okay? Just to add a bit of realism, I then might try and find some kind of tool in the props menu to make it look like he's an archaeologist. This one will do right here. And I'm going to put that on the ground next to him and change the size of it a little bit. There we go. Okay, that looks good enough for me. And I might also change his facial expression this time so he looks a little bit surprised at this discovery. This edit expression button at the top here, after you click it, allows you to choose from some preset expressions down here. And I'm just going to choose something that looks maybe surprised. That says scared, but there we go. We'll we'll go with that. That looks fine. Now my next box, my next panel over here is going to be a little bit different to the previous open close one, because I'm going to use the next box, the next panel, to display the different options for the multiple choice cloze, which means that I'm going to get rid of absolutely everything, including the text at the bottom. And then when I click add text this time and the speech bubble comes up, I'm going to paste in the 4 first questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, with A, B, C, D, the 4 options for each. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of editing to make it clearer after pasting it in that those are the first 4 questions. So I've numbered these 4 options, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. If I click an empty space and then click the text box, I can edit the text in a few more different ways to make it clearer. First thing I'm going to do after clicking all show all buttons is to align it left. And then I'm going to make the text a little bit bigger by clicking here and moving the sliding scale to change the text size. I want it nice and big to make it really clear that these questions relate to the different parts of the text. Now in this one I've made, number 1 here is the only question in this part of the text, and it relates to this one. Number 2, 3 and 4 are going to be in the text for this box down here, but it will be very clear if I make this nice and big where the different numbers can be found. I'm also going to move the text box around just to give it the best possible visibility, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to move on to the next one. And the next section involves scientists speculating about different theories about the shoe. So I'm just going to paste my text down here, and you'll see that this text includes numbers 2, 3 and 4. So it will be clear to the reader that numbers 2, 3 and 4 up here relate to this text down here. Because this is about scientists and about their theories, I'm going to make some kind of mind map. My background this time just needs to be pretty simple. I want just an empty lab, so I'm going to choose this one. But I'm once again going to break apart the prop set using these 3 buttons down here like I did in the open close video. And I'm going to get rid of this table over here completely. So I've just got this kind of tiled background over here. Then I'm going to choose my shoe again. But this time I'm going to make it really big. And I'm going to stuff it with grass one more time to keep it consistent. So maybe some slightly different grass this time. And I'm going to duplicate that and then do the same thing on the other side. That's pretty good. So that's a shoe stuffed with grass. I'm going to delete that text box. And this time, my characters, I'm going to relate it to the text down here. The text says that we can't say whether it was worn by a man or a woman. So I'm going to just have a caveman. That guy will do. And put him on one side. And then a cave woman, which I believe they have, on the other side. And in the middle, what I'm going to do, just to, she got really big, just to contribute to the ambiguity in the text down here, in my prop set, I'm just going to look for a question and introduce this question mark in a couple of places around the panel here. Make that nice and big. And I'll duplicate that, put it on this side too. We've got a visual representation of what's going on in the text down here. The text for the next part includes questions 5 to 8. So I'm going to paste in the text first, and I'm going to put the image into this box above here before I include the 4 options and the 4 questions related to it. I'm going to do that in the next box, just to make it really, really clear that the next few questions that are going to come down here relate to 5, 6, 7, and 8 in this box here. So this text is about the same shoe still being used on the Aran Islands off the west coast of Ireland up until the 1950s. So for my background, I'm just going to choose one of those words again and type in island. Select something that could be vaguely Irish. Again, your reader will use the power of closure to fill in the gaps. Looks like a little island next to the sea. And I'm going to choose a guy who could fit into this story. When I click in empty space over here and then add character, I can probably find somebody like this guy who looks very slightly like he might be in the 1950s. And I'm going to change his size, and I'm going to have him walking away from me. So I'm going to double click him, and you can see if you hover your mouse in the middle like this, you get an arrow to turn him around. I'm going to turn him around all the way, and then I'm going to choose the preset pose down here, type in walking again, and he can just be strolling nice and slowly. I might turn him a little bit more. There we go. That looks good. So he's walking up that path. This is the 1950s. And then, just for the final touch, because this is about shoes, I'm going to once again click on Add Prop, type in shoe, and I'm going to add a few footprints behind him, just to make the reader once again notice the connection between the text and the images. And these footprints are actually exactly the same image as I used in the other parts of the comic, but no one's going to explicitly notice that, but they will subconsciously make the connection. Okay, for my last section, I'm going to add one more panel by clicking this button over here, and when it pops up, I'll delete all of the different sections again, and the text at the bottom this time, because it's a copy of the text from the previous panel, and I'm going to copy in and paste my 4 different options. Once again, I'll do a little bit of editing to make it really clear. I'll number them and just make the spacing really clear, so the numbers will relate to 4, 5, 6 and 7 from the previous text up there. Sorry, it was 5, 6, 7 and 8 are the last few questions. So that's 5, 6, 7, and the last one is 8. I'm happy with the spacing there, and I'm happy with the size, so I don't think I need to use any of these text editing buttons down here. And I'll have one more look at it. I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to save and continue again here. I'm going to save it as my multiple choice cloze. And when I've done that, I can have another look, check everything's okay. I can see now that the text is clear underneath here. It's nothing missing. And once again at the bottom here I have all the options to get a link to be able to share that, to email it. I can print it, I can download it. I can even embed this in any kind of website that I have, because you can get the HTML code for it. Also, if you want to download it and distribute it to your students, again, it's a slightly better way, I think, of pictorially describing and depicting what's going on in an otherwise dry open-close task. Thanks.